Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MyFootballWriter podcast. Whether you are watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, we are back after a bit of a Christmas break. I hope you've missed us. I'm here tonight, Jack Wright, NCFC Payne, with the amazing, as always, Henry Miller, and the immaculate, as always, William Grant. Before we have a bit of a retrospective look over how Norwich City's Christmas played out, for the two of you, how was your respective Christmases? Were you good little boys? Did Father Christmas get you everything that you wanted? And do you have any New Year's resolutions? Quite a few questions, but I'll leave that with you. Henry, you start.
I think for me, my New Year's resolution is because I'm normally a bad boy when it comes to meals. And my New Year's resolution is to not skip meals. I'm a fiend for skipping breakfast. And yeah, skip breakfast no more. So my New Year's resolution is to eat 3 meals a day.
Fantastic, Henry, and I hope that does continue well on into the new year. And yeah, my Christmas was good, but the thing is, I still can't escape my football pet peeve, and that is I never understand why footballers from corners just always take the ball out of like that triangular quadrant bit. Like, what's the point? Like every time, it's you know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely pointless. And I swear, every corner that happens, nothing actually happens anyway. So my pet peeve is still in my memory, and I can't remember what player did it for Stoke, but probably to be fair, it probably was sort of Thomas because he's rather annoyingly good and he's quite arrogant. So that's probably that answer to that. But overall, enough of me moaning. I am very well. How about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a fairly quiet Christmas. I got a nose trimmer for Christmas. Yeah, that's how exciting my festive period was. I need it though. Unfortunately, that's where I've got in my life. But yeah, apart from that, I just got loads of socks and loads of knitwear. I really am, just an old man. But in terms of the football, it was kind of a little bit all over the place. In the five festive fixtures, we had a draw against Preston with an agonising late equaliser, a win, a loss, a win, a loss. So, really emotionally up and down, up and down. But overall, I think, generally speaking, some very rewarding wins in there, especially the away win at QPR with that immaculate pitch. I think it was a long period with lots of games all sort of peppered within there, as we like to have during the Christmas period. What would be the two of you, your assessment kind of over this period? Have you seen the progress under Philippe Clement, or are there still underlying issues that still need to be um, resolved, looked into?
Well, in short, Jack, both. I think it's clear as day the progress under Philippe Clement. Compare this to when Liam Manning was in our group chat. I think it was after the Oxford game. I put that we were 8 points from safety and that it looked so bleak. And Freddie responded with just the 1 point now. So that in itself shows how well we've done since Philippe Clement has come in. I think the most important thing that he's installed in these players is that motivation. You look at the first half performances under Liam Manning, which I wouldn't say were awful. They weren't great, but they weren't awful. Then compare that to the second half performances where we'd just fall off a cliff. Under Philippe Clement, we've actually been able to see games out. Yes, not every game, but quite a lot of games we have been able to see out, whether that's us seeing out a point or seeing out all 3 points. So I think the progress is definitely there. I like Philippe Clement, but I think the Christmas period shows us that there's still so much work that needs to be done, and we're not out of the darkness yet, so to speak. I would say we've taken 2 steps forward, but 3 steps back. I was saying to you, chaps, off air, the most important games of this season. I think even looking ahead, the most important games that will define our season were QPR away and Stoke at home, just because of everything else that went on around it. QPR away, we won, huge win. We needed to win, got us back within touching distance. Stoke away, Stoke at home, sorry, a win or even a draw there, and we would have gone into a week without league football outside of the relegation zone. We didn't capitalise on that, and that could be crucial. What we've done well is getting us back within touch and distance of safety, but we haven't actually been able to get ourselves over the dotted line yet and out of the relegation zone due to inconsistencies in defence, a lack of creativity. You know, that there are still these glaring issues that were present under Liam Manning. Yes, they're still present now, not as prominent, but they are still present. So they need to be addressed ASAP if we really have any chance of staying up in this division.
Yeah, I think my main reflection over the last 4 games is that to be honest, I thought they all followed a very, very similar pattern. Really, I thought in probably all 4 of the games, I felt the first goal was really, really important in each of those matches, and I think it proved to be right. Look at the Charlton game, we won 1-0. You look at the QPR game as well, where we got the first goal and we won that as well. But also, if you were to flip that as well, Watford got the first goal, they won 1-0. And obviously Stoke scored the first goal and they won 2-0 as well. And I think what it's shown for me is that there's still got to be so much work done, especially in attacking phases with Norwich in a minute, especially at home. I think teams right now have managed to almost identify Norwich's almost style of play, especially in the attacking third. And I think they managed to try and contain us really well, the teams that have come to Carrow Road. And I just, even in the Charlton game, I know probably if you were to pick one winner of that game, you probably would have chosen Norwich, and that's probably a fair assessment. But I wasn't overly thrilled by our attacking play then, and I still feel like at home, especially in the last 3 games, we haven't created enough chances at all, really. And that's been a major, major worry. And when you see the likes of the games we lost at Carrow Road, so the likes of Summer Thomas for Stoke and the Irakunda for Watford, those are players which have got immense quality. And you just look at Norwich's team, especially off the bench in those scenarios, in terms of can we bring on that same level of firepower, and we just can't. And I think when you spent so much money in the last 18 months, probably approximately £60 million, and you're still looking at our attacking options thinking, gosh, we still need more, then I think that is a very, very damning indictment of where we're actually at. And just how poor we've recruited in the last few seasons as well. So I thought most of the games we played were very, very similar, and it was just a shame really that we couldn't get more than 6 points, because I feel like I looked at the Watford and the Charlton game, those 2 home games, and I thought if there's a chance for Norwich to get 6 points, then hopefully it would be those 2 games. But I think to be fair, since then I think Watford have gone on a really good run as well. So maybe that game was actually on paper a more tougher game than first expected, really. But I just think we've found some real spine to our team, the likes of Convo and Darling and Matson and McLean. I think that's been a really encouraging central spine of the team as of late. And I think Matson has been absolutely incredible as of late as well, just to highlight that out. But it's that attacking 4 where you feel like you need a bit of star quality. And if Norwich can't almost create a style of play where they are absolutely dominating teams, then what you need is moments of quality. And Norwich haven't been able to showcase that often enough. I think we've seen 10-minute spells by Mato Jurasek. We've seen a little 5-minute thrust here by Tony Springett. Like, there just hasn't been enough moments of quality, especially on the attacking flanks, for me to say we've been thoroughly dominant and we deserve those 3 points. I still think this team's got a long way to go in terms of chance creation. And I think obviously the club actually also know that as well. That's why they're trying to target an attacking midfielder. But for me as well, it's got to be more speed as well on the flanks. I think Oscar Schwartel's done brilliant this season. He must have played every game probably since September, and I really do respect him for that. I think he's shown great endeavour and also some moments of real quality. But what Norwich actually need, I think, on one flank is almost just raw speed, and I think that's what Diallo brought at the start of the season. But I just think Norwich are quite an easy side to defend against right now, and especially at home. I think the XG we've created at home hasn't been anything enthralling, and that's got to change, because I can't see this team surviving in the league with a real strong core defence. It's got to be our attacking play, and right now I don't think that's up to the level required yet. But one thing which I think Clement has shown since he's come into the club is that albeit we might have had some inconsistent results, we've bounced back really, really well. And considering we've got the likes of Wrexham and Coventry in there, you feel like if Norwich are going to try and keep it to a reasonable gap, so to speak, we've got to try and win at least one of those games.
Yeah, and Will, just to pick up off the back of that, and I'll throw this question to you as well, Jack. I was chatting with some Norwich fans the other day, and they were saying that you mentioned there about the spine of the team. One of the most impressive players since Philippe Clement came to the club has been Pelle Matson, and they were saying finally, after however many years, we've found our Alexander Tete replacement. I actually look at that with some concern, because if it's taken that many years to find a Tete replacement, and you're considering Pelle Matson to be a Tete replacement, we need to have a Kenny McLean replacement. Whether it's this summer that he goes, or he gives us another year and goes next summer, Kenny McLean's Norwich career is dwindling. His best days are behind him. I still think he's a vital player to Norwich, don't get me wrong, but he will leave Norwich sooner rather than later. Is it important that we go out and try desperately as well in this window, even more, to find a Kenny McLean replacement who can sit alongside Pelle Matson?
Well, I think with that in particular, I probably more so see Matson potentially as that McLean replacement, to be honest with you, because I feel like Matson probably has got a bit more attacking quality in the final third. I'm not saying by any means he's as consistent and as dangerous as Kenny McLean can be with his left foot, but I just feel like McLean and Matson, I feel like their profiles probably match more than what Tete and Matson would. To be honest, I think that's just down to them being both of them being box midfielders, and I think that's really, really important as well. And you just do hope, especially in midfield. I think again, it's a really, really important area. I think we've already seen some links to. I think it was that Mark Leonard, Birmingham Stadium as well. So again, I think Norwich are trying to find replacements in that area. But I think in terms of short term, where Norwich are now, I think that can't be our main priority. I look at the team and I feel reassured by that Matson and McLean duo for the rest of the season. Of course, injuries can be a concern about that as well, but I just feel like we've got to put so much emphasis right now on probably getting at least two right wingers in. Obviously, we got Ali Ahmed in, which is really exciting, and I'm sure we'll come on and touch about him later on. But I just think for me, like that Matson McLean partnership right now has been really, really steady and robust, and I feel like there just needs to be more emphasis placed elsewhere right now in terms of the team. But mate, Henry, you're absolutely spot on. There's got to be some real good replacements lined up in case that scenario does come, and it might mean that Matson probably fits into that like McLean profile of box to box, whilst maybe Norwich do try and go for another holding CTM midfielder, so to speak. To be fair, at the start of the season, I thought Jacob Wright would probably be that like deep line playmaker, but now unfortunately that looks like it's going to be him now in the attacking midfield role. So again, Norwich probably got to get that absolute ball-winning midfield profile in the weeks to come.
Yeah, just to follow up on the Matson McLean point you raised, Henry, I think like you say, Will, and from the start of the season, you kind of look at the squad and you kind of think, oh, we're actually oversubscribed in that defensive midfield position if you add Wright and our dear friend Mirko Topic in there. Now with his long-term injury and Jacob Wright's shift of position, I think that then sort of shifts the emphasis, like you say. I think, yeah, there are so many other positions within the team that we need looking at. Again, we will go into this in more detail, don't you worry. But I think just to go back to my sort of first point, if I'm going to add my assessment of Christmas generally, just quite jarring, I think, from joy and just an amazing performances. I mean, I even think back to the Southampton game where we really dug in to try and retain a point. But then there were just so many games over Christmas where we conceded silly goals really late on and completely lacked that bit of nous that we really had gained and we thought would be a footprint of Clement's coaching it just didn't seem to. Yeah, we just seemed to lose concentration late on. It just seems to be that we're very easy to score against, get someone into the channel, edge of the box, cross it in, someone will be there. We praise Fisher, McConville, Darling, but it just seems like that. I don't know why. That just seems to be an element of how people can get through to us. And surely that's something that the defensive coaches have looked at and are working on in terms of marking, in terms of watching the ball. Because you look at all the goals we conceded over Christmas, I can't think of one, well, apart from QPR's screamer from absolutely nothing, where it wasn't edge of the box, bang, goal. So, yeah, it's kind of that. Obviously, the QPR game was huge in terms of it being a result when other teams around us didn't pick up points. But again, whilst we've closed the gap is still there. We're still in that bottom three. So, squeaky bum time continues to be very squeaky. But just specifically, not just in terms of the crosses that we're conceding, but the nature of the late goals, especially the really late goal against Preston that denied us 2 points. Obviously, the consolation goal at QPR that didn't matter but could have done. It seems to be a pattern, not just throughout Christmas, but also throughout this season. You look at Coventry's very late equaliser earlier in the season as well. I've never known a Norwich season where we just seem to be not switching on late on. And there's a multitude of reasons. Obviously squad depth being one of them, with other players being able to bring more quality options on. We saw that against Watford. Fitness, as we've spoken about, but we seem to be a lot fitter. We seem to be a lot stronger. But also, we're quite a young team. We're looking at, Kellen Fisher, Mahovo, McConville, very, fresh players in that regard. What do you think the kind of the one thing is that's, leading to all these late goals? Or is it even the referee's fault for putting on too much extra time? I think it might be their fault. But, what do you think, Henry? What do you think, Will?
I don't know. It's difficult because, whilst we have got better in terms of the defensive solidity under Philippe Clement, and as I've said, just compare performances under the two head coaches this season, and they are chalk and cheese. We're still having those issues of conceding late goals. You mentioned Preston and QPR. It's also happened against both Watford and Oxford as well, where we have just switched off, and it's cost us points. And that hasn't been eradicated from our game since the change of head coach. It could be confidence still. A lot of these players, especially the defence, were bought in this summer, and they could have got it sort of in their sort of predisposition, really, that that Norwich are bad at defending, and it might just take a few like loose balls and they switch off, and their heads just go down like they did under Liam Manning. So maybe I don't know, maybe Norwich need to stay up this season, and then in the summer hopefully those silly mistakes can then be eradicated. But for me, because it was something that happened so frequently under Liam Manning, you still do probably expect it now under Philippe Clement. The annoying thing is that we are now in touch and distance, and every point matters in terms of our safety, and we really don't need silly mistakes like that to cost us. What I will say is, it's probably, if you look at us defensively, that was the issue under Liam Manning. Now it's offensively that's the issue under Philippe Clement. As you touched on, Will, there are recently it's just been Jovon McCarmer and Josh Sargent who've actually been scoring for Norwich, and they've been having to live off scraps. this Norwich side has no creativity whatsoever. And who knows, if we get players through the door like Ali Ahmed or like a proper attacking midfielder, then hopefully, yes, these stupid mistakes are always going to happen, but hopefully we're creating enough chances there to see off games like we did against QPR, where, yes, that goal was frustrating, but ultimately it didn't matter because we still won the game.
Yeah, I remember making a point of probably about 2 months ago on the podcast where I don't think Norwich are going to get points this season by grinding out games 1-0 or 2-0, albeit the game against QPR and Charlton, we kind of grinded out games in that regard by a 1-goal margin in the end. So maybe that point actually probably isn't entirely accurate, but I do still stand by it very much so, to be honest with you as well, because I think the teams we've lost to as well by or drawn to, sorry, by a single goal margin, most of those most of those teams, are able to bring on real good attacking quality. As I said earlier, Irakunda literally was the difference in that Norwich Watford game. Just a high level of octane speed manages to get through McConville, and I don't think he can probably really do too much about that, really. So it's just those moments in games where Norwich just aren't capitalising or not making wise enough decisions for me, especially. And as well as that, as well, I think Summer Thomas probably was the best player on the pitch against in that split game as well. I think he caused Fisher a lot of problems, albeit I do think Fisher did defend against him quite okay throughout the game, but he's still got that moment of quality where, albeit he can look quiet in the game, but he can still do something. And Norwich just lack those profile of players, really. It feels like Jacob Wright and McCarmer and Matson and McLean, like, they could all play well in a system, but they don't have that moment of quality where they can maybe dig us out of trouble in some regard. The actual player where I feel like that actually does have that quality is actually Kvisgaardsen. I think it showed in the game against Leicester, for example, off the bench where he just scores a goal out of absolutely nowhere. And to be honest, actually, McCarmer does have like that kind of profile to his game as well, and that's really important as well. But the trouble is, especially in the last 2 games, I felt is that we haven't actually got McCarmer into the game as frequently as we should have done. And I'm speaking about those 2 home games in particular. The Stoke game, I thought it was a real bad call actually by Clement playing on the left-hand side. I think that was probably one of his biggest selection issues that he's done so far for me. I think he switched to the right-hand side probably about 60 minutes in, and he just looked so much more effective. And I was really surprised actually that he went for Jurasek on the right and McCarmer on the left. But then again, Jurasek did perform to a decent level against QPR, but I feel like your star player right now is McCarmer. He's got to play in his most comfortable role. And for me, he just did not look comfortable on that left-hand side whatsoever. He really didn't. And I don't think he's the best of players coming deep to receive the ball. He wants the ball played in behind the defenders and to his feet. And I don't think we actually did it well enough as well. So it's okay, us actually say in those moments where we concede so late, but are we actually helping ourselves by creating enough chances in the whole 90 minutes? And actually, those moments where actually we should be scoring goals, I'm not too sure. I still think, although defending is such a vital part of the game, I've said it for a while now, especially in the Clermont. I think if Norwich are going to win games in this division, we've got to try and win games by 2-goal margins, because I think that's our greatest strength with the amount of quality we've got in there. McCarmer, Sargent, Jacob Wright at times as well. I think they're our players to try and drag us out of trouble, if that makes sense. And I don't think defensively we kind of have those profiles to kind of withstand pressure for a whole 90 minutes. And I don't think we actually had the goalkeeper either. I think he's also prone to an error as well. So I just think, although late goals have been an issue, and obviously fitness is also a very big reason as well, I think although I think, yes, as you say, Jackie has, of course it has improved, but let's be real, could it have got much worse? I don't know. So it's obviously a combination of many things, but I also think it's also really important to stress and actually bring back the argument of how we actually created enough chances in the last 4 or 5 games to actually warrant 3 points. And I'd probably say no, I don't think we have often enough. And I think that's an issue, especially with the amount of money we've spent. We've got to be scoring more goals. We've got to be supporting Sargent and McCarver. We've seen glimpses of their quality, but but we actually need to try and feed them more often. If that means we've got to start playing a bit more direct and fans get a bit annoyed by that brand of football, then so be it, because Norwich in a very, very precarious situation.
Yeah, and I think the QPR game was a good example of how late goals can mean nothing if we get the goals in enough time. And I think, like you're saying, Will, about having players that can pluck a goal out of nowhere. If Jovon McCarma hadn't just decided to go to the corner flag, even that would have been a 1-1 game. That would have been 2 points dropped, and again, we would have been in even worse peril. I think the nature of how we're losing games, yes, a 2-goal margin against Stoke, but we're not being battered. The only time we've been battered is against Birmingham. We are losing by 1 or 2 goals. We are winning by a goal margin. So our goal difference isn't taking a tanking. In this relegation fight, we're not cut adrift. We are probably on par with someone like a Portsmouth or an Oxford. I think our goal difference is slightly better than those two. I'd need to check the table. But again, it does set us up a little bit of a foundation for springing out of that bottom three. And again, I said this in the group chat over Christmas, is that Clement has not got us playing well. We are playing ordinarily, which is enough to get us the amount of results and performances that we have had over Christmas. So it really does make you think, what was Liam Manning trying to achieve with this team? If Clement has just got us performing at kind of a C grade, it's I think looking back on his tenure, it just makes it even worse. Go on, Willie.
And yes, no, sorry, mate. I think you made some great points there, Jack. Like, Norwich are playing ordinary football and being competitive. That's great, and that gives us a chance. But it's just that star moment of quality. And I've got a stat here as well. In Josh Sargent's last 2 seasons, obviously this season as it stands right now, and last season, Josh Sargent has been in the top 5 players in terms of the most missed chances, or he's missed the most critical chances at goal, and that literally reinforces that point. And when you're in a relegation battle, that can't afford to be happening. And he's actually the only player out of those top 5 shortlists from this season and last season to miss the most chances as well. So we all say Sargent is great, and I think he's absolutely brilliant footballer. He really is. He's got so much great qualities. But relegation battles for me are defined by moments, because often the teams that are struggling don't have that much quality. The issue is Norwich have got the quality, but we've got to try and apply that quality. We've got those players there, but right now the stats are saying, and especially for Sargent, who is our main striker, and he's deemed by many of our fan base as supposedly the best striker in the league, he's got to take those chances now, because we haven't got much chances left to try and get us out this issue as well. So I thought that was a really, really interesting stat actually to try and back up your point, Jack, about us being ordinary. And it's okay if we're ordinary, but it's really important that, like, when we are playing ordinary, that and we're scoring those really important goals, because I feel like probably about, I'd say about eight or 9 teams towards the bottom end of the championship, they all are quite ordinary. But the issue is, the difference is either they're defending so clinically, or they're having those moments of quality from set pieces, and they're scoring really important goals. And I just think Sargent, he is our main talisman. I think he's got to take those moments a bit better.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Josh Sargent. It's almost like you read the agenda. That's my next point. Probably one of the most fascinating dynamics of this festive period is the enigma of how to play Jovon McCarma and Josh Sargent together. And you alluded to it. Clement tried against Stoke, and it very clearly didn't work. I've seen comments from Lincoln fans saying that if they were to be asked what is McCarma's best position, they would say winger, which is really fascinating, considering when he's been out wide, he's definitely not been as good as how he's been when he's been up front. I believe he tried to go 2 up top. I can't remember which game it was, with both Sargent and McCarma, and it just didn't work. in that little period when Makama had his sort of knock and his illness, and obviously Sargent started, that was QPR. Sargent scored, came off, and then Makama scored. We're in a really, really weird situation where our star player, the best striker in the division, as we've branded him, is being usurped by a striker that we signed from League One for just over £1 million. Now, I'm not saying that that is necessarily a bad thing. I'm bang up for anyone who is willing to put the goals in for Norwich City, but it really creates a heart-wrenching situation, because it's like, how do you play them both? Because you can't really drop Josh, because then he won't get any game time. He'll want to leave and will then be sold for peanuts, when we would still need a player of his quality. And if you don't play Jovon, then you don't play a player in form. So go on. It's probably been the enigma that's been rattling all Norwich fans' brain, and it is possibly the best possible dilemma for us to have. It's a fantastic dilemma. Henry, my friend, what's the solution? Tell me.
Well, I don't think there's a clear cut answer really. What I will say, we've got that debate, and that's happened all throughout the festive period, really. But it almost applies to what we were saying about the squad depth. You look at what Will was saying when I said about Matson and McLean playing together, and about that box to box midfielder. You're looking at someone like Jacob Wright, and you're probably preferring him as a box to box midfielder than you are a number 10. Even someone like Oscar Schwartau, his best games for Norwich have been on the wing and not as a number 10 where he's played in recent weeks. The lack of the squad depth that Norwich have has been a real issue, and it's led to players such as Jacob Wright and such as Oscar Schwartau playing out of position, and it's come to Norwich's detriment. What I don't think should happen is to palm one of them out on the wings. As we said, we've seen Makama on the wings. I think he's much more effective down the middle as that central striker. Where it could work is that Sargent's hold-up play is brilliant. So if you play him as more of a number 10 and feeding balls into Jovon Makama, that might work. But in terms of one of them on the wings, I think Makama's looked better as a number 9, and we all know how Sargent on the wing was from that Premier League season, and even in the Championship, where the following season, where we had the Eder, Pookie, and Sargent strike force, and we were trying to fit them all into one team. So Sargent, for me, he on his day, he is the best striker in the division. He needs to play. Of course, he does. He's Josh Sargent. So yeah, either play him centrally and have Makama off the bench, or play Sargent in the number 10. The reason why I say potentially that Makama on the bench could be an option is because you have to take into account Mateus Visgarden. I think over the Christmas period, he's not really looked himself. I think he definitely is nursing an injury. And Will said there about Stoke City substitutions. Norwich had no one on the bench that could have changed that game, with Visgarden not being 100%. If you've got Jovon Makama coming off the bench, then that's instantly an option. He's one of the most informed strikers in the league. So if you feel like you have to drop someone, drop Makama, and then 60 minutes, bring him on, and it could be like a completely new signing like that. So yeah, that's for me is what I'd do. Either start Sargent in the 10, or start Makama as a substitute and then bring him on.
I'm going to be a bit annoying here and disagree with Henry, really, because I would actually still stick with playing Makama out on the right flank. A bit controversial, I know, but I think what that does especially is, if you think about the attacking four in a 4-2-3-1 setup, so obviously in recent times it's been Makama, Jacob Wright, Oscar Schwartau and Sargent, for example. I think that front four all offer something different. I think Oscar Schwartau likes to cut inside and come in on his right foot from the left flank, whereas I feel Makama is actually quite an old throwback classic winger where he will like run towards the byline and just run and run and run, and then when he gets to the byline, whip in across. And I think he's so effective at doing that as well. Like, he isn't the most athletic dribbler in terms of he can get through players in quite a exciting manner in terms of using his flair. I just think he's so powerful. He's so quick. He's just such a good runner, and I think in this league, I think that's actually really effective. Like, I think the amount of times I've just been absolutely in awe of Makama just holding up the ball, almost running from the halfway line to the attacking third. He's done that so much across the season, and I think we've got to try and play both of them, because the issue I would say about that right wing slot, Henry, if you were to play someone right wing, like, who would it be in truth? Because you look at it, obviously Forson's out injured, Springett's still a bit hit and miss really, albeit he had shown some moments that, and he can be quite a good outlet at times. But obviously Jurasek as well has showcased the moments of flair, but still for me lacks a bit of confidence and a bit of real dynamism in the final third. So I think Makama probably is our best right winger out of a bad bunch right now, and I think having him there actually does create quite a nice variety in our front for attacking play. So I would still stick with it as well. And of course, as well, if you're playing Makama Sargent in a both team, like, your goal threat's going to be doubled, because both of them can find their net quite comfortably at this level as well. And although I have that theory in my head, the amount as the games go by where Sargent doesn't score games, you feel like Makama might actually come into the team and start as that sole 9 as well, because I think Clement has got that ruthless streak, and he will be aware that when Norwich started with Makama in the 9, he was really, really good. And I think, although I'm not 100% convinced by my theory in terms of playing Makama out wide, I think it's just more because I know how good Sargent can be for us, and I just want to give him a bit more time to try and play in that sole 9 position, as he's been over the last 2.5 years. He's been so good in that role for us. I just want to give him a bit more time to try and find his feet and find his form. I think hopefully it'll just take one goal for him to start flying again, and I do think there is some real potential in that front four attacker lineup as well. So look, I haven't got all the answers in particular, but I do think as well that when Sargent and Makama have played together, as you said, Jack, it has been quite underwhelming. I thought in the Watford game in particular, there was a real chance for us to try and dominate their centre halves. I think it was Max Lane and Matty Pollock, and I think Watford played really well across the whole game, and I think they were so structured in their defensive setup. I really think they were, like, their rest defense shape was really good. But I felt when Norwich played a bit more direct into Sargent and Makama, we looked much more of a threat. But again, the issue is I don't think we actually played direct enough times, and I think in our situation, we've got to try and be a bit more ambitious and a bit more cutthroat, and just try and play a bit direct, and recognise the fact that your best two players probably are your strikers right now in Makama and Sargent. So I still think there's a real need for those two to improve together as a front two partnership, albeit I'm sure they probably really work together really closely in training. But for me, playing those two together right now, it just doesn't really feel right to me in particular. And I think also as well defensively, we look so much more open as well. So there's some real question marks for Clement to think about. But I think for now, I want to persist with Sarge, play Makama out wide right, as I think they could both be effective in their allocated roles.
I think the reason why we're having this really sort of long debate is because no one else has been scoring for us, as Henry mentioned earlier. I was thinking back over the goals that we scored over the festive period. I think it was literally only Makama and Sargent to have found the back of the net. Come on, everyone else. What are you doing, Schwartau? What are you doing, Jurasek? Henry, did anyone else score? I can't remember.
No, I think the last non-Makama Sargent goal was Schwartau against Watford at Vicarage Road.
Oh, that's quite upsetting. But hey, well, power to Jovon. I mean, we've sort of peppered a load of names of players who have definitely stepped up over the Christmas period. I think Liam Manning, he never really knew what his best 11 is. He didn't know what his best formation was. I think there are definitely players who are playing their best ever football under Philippe Clement. Pelle Matson, we've obviously gushed over. Rory McConville, we have to mention, has had some really good games and obviously some very experienced games as well. A couple of mistakes, but he's, what is he, only 20? We will give him the benefit of the doubt. Oscar Schwartau, again, only 19, but is really performing quite well. Jacob Wright in the number 10. And it wouldn't be Christmas 2025 if we didn't give a big shout out to Tony Springett, who it's Christmas 2025 and we are unironically praising Tony Springett. And you know what? Fair play to him. I've been really quite critical of him. But in that Charlton game, especially in his cameo appearances at Preston as well, come back from injury, a player who, I've said it before, is willing to actually put in a shift for the team. Fair play. I've pretty much just named everyone, but who do you think was sort of your favourite player apart from Sargent and McCarmer over the Christmas period?
Well, I think, as you said there, Tony Springett will sort of write himself into Norwich City folklore due to those performances, just because of what his Norwich City career looked like beforehand. Am I saying he'd go on to be a club legend? No, but he'd, certainly has achieved cult hero status, I think. So, yeah, he has to get a shout out. But, of course, when you're in a team at the bottom of the league and only two players are scoring for you, they should be the two players with the most credit. And I think for Jovon McCarmer to sort of come in and still be outperforming Josh Sargent, really, I think, yeah, for me, he's player of the season so far, and the festive period has just cemented that for me.
Yeah, I think the obvious candidate for me has been Pelle Matson. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. I would probably say he's probably put in a 8 out of 10 performance in probably every game he's played so far under Clement. I think he's been that good. But especially as well, I want to speak about Callum Fisher. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. More so from an attacking sense as well. It's felt like that Clement has almost found his attacking, almost like his attacking style back again, really. Because it felt like under Manning, it just didn't really feel right in him in that wing back position. I felt like he didn't have that same freedom to try and create openings for us. And although that's quite weird saying that for a wing back, because you associate a wing back getting more freedom to try and push up and down the flanks. But I think Callum Fisher's game is much more than being a real wide wing back. I think he loves to come in field as well. I love some of the patterns of play where we switch to play and we get Callum Fisher driving past past halfway line. I think he looks really good and powerful when he's running at speed against defenders as well. And he's just so agile and nimble, and he's really hard to defend against as well. He's just a really good footballer, and I've been so impressed with him as of late as well. And I think defensively, I think he's played against some real tough opponents as of late as well. No more so than Summer Thomas as well. I think obviously, although Summer Thomas had a real impact on the game against us, I felt in large periods he actually played him very well. But annoyingly, a player of Thomas's quality, he has that ability to try and create something out of nothing, and that's what he done in the game against us. But I think Callum Fisher for me has been absolutely outstanding as well. And also for me, shout out to also the left backs as well. I thought Ben Cristiani's been really good and solid. I don't think Cristiani, I can't think of a single mistake that Cristiani has made this season. I think he's been really good. And also Mahuvu as well. After a very long injury layoff, I think there's some real good qualities there from him as well. And it's a real testament to those two that I actually can't pick who I prefer. I think they're both equally as good as each other. And that is such a good position for Norwich to be. And I think Lucien probably suits games where he can try and use his left foot qualities. I think he's got such a great cross on him as well. Whereas I feel like in games when Norwich got to be a bit more solid and a bit more disciplined, I think Ben Cristiani is a really good option there as well. So I've been really impressed with the two fullbacks, as well as obviously the obvious shouts in Sargent, McCarmer, Matson, and McLean, so to speak. So yeah, they're my two standouts as well to add to the list.
Yep, And well, maybe a small shout out to Jose Cordoba because he came back from injury and he looked okay against QPR. Not one of the more amazing ones, but yeah, a player who we will be watching at the World Cup. Another Norwich player that we'll be watching at the World Cup, potentially if he's in the squad for Canada, is Ali Ahmed. I don't know if Napa's game is to try and sign as many different players that will be at the World Cup as possible. If we sign any players from Curacao or Cape Verde, then we'll be able to suss that one out. But again, a very early signing, an attacking signing that we very much needed. Some competition for when Diallo gets back from fitness, which should be hopefully in a couple of weeks. Ultimately, we've all been screaming out for that number 10 that we've so desperately missed since that other guy went to that other team. Can't remember what. William and I are actually about to record a video just going into a bit more of a January deep dive. But instead of a deep dive, we're going to do a shallow dive. Just a surface level generic question. What do we think is the most important priority in January? And don't steal any of our ideas for the video because we'll go into it in more detail in the other video.
I think, well, first and foremost, attacking output. So wingers and number 10. We've always had good wingers. I know they're different players, but you look at the likes of Buendia, Sarah, even to an extent, Borja Sainz. We got into a habit under Stuart Webber of generating new players like that, of that ilk, and we haven't done that. We've not replaced Borja Sainz, and yes, he went through that purple period for us last season under Johannes, but he was still that presence and that threat basically every game he played, and we've really lacked a player like that. And it's the same with number 10s in terms of James Maddison or Wes Houlihan. We've not replaced that sort of player. So yeah, we need to get a good number 10 and we need to get wingers through the door. The fact that we've brought in Ali Ahmed, 3 days into the transfer window, shows intent. I would be lying if I said I know anything about him, but the fact that he's another winger and he's a body through the door can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I've got very similar thoughts to Henry on this, I think. An attacking midfielder for me is a must. It really is. I think Jacob Wright has looked pretty decent in that position at times. But I don't think he's that natural attacking midfielder, that creator, so to speak. I think his main strength is probably his ability to link up with his teammates and find some real acute passing angles. I think he's really good at that. But in terms of his overall performance as an attacking midfielder, I don't think he's got that ability to almost carry the ball like Macondes has, and also speak about Macondes as well. It feels like when Emmy is at his best, it's when he's played a lot of games and he's got some real match sharpness. But the issue is, he just can't really seem to get selected frequently, and I think whenever he comes off the bench, he always looks a bit undercut and a bit lacking in match sharpness as well. So I think Norwich got to make some choices regarding him and whether his fitness and his ability to remain sharp and make a difference off the bench or even starting games, whether that can still remain consistent, I don't think that probably can. So Norwich probably got to make a decision there and bring in another attacking midfielder. For me as well, they've got to try and sign some right wingers. I think maybe two. I think to be brutal. I think I don't know if Mawson's best position is on that right flank. I'm still yet to be convinced by him in that role. As well as that, I don't think Jurasek has shown enough quality. Do you be brutal with him and find him a loan move or a transfer away, which seems absolutely crazy to think after he apparently had such a big reputation. So that'd be an absolute disaster if that was the case as well. But I think now's the time for Norwich to make some big calls, and it's time for Ben Napa to own up to his mistake with actions as well and sign some players who he actually needs. And I think one attribute which we really need is speed, because Oscar Schwartau has showcased in glimpses that he's got some really nice attacking play to him. But I think whenever we play an attacking four of maybe Sarge and Marcondes, Shortell, or maybe Forson. We just need to like that out and out speed in the lineup as well. So I think it's really important we try and add some pace to our wingers. Obviously, Ali Ahmed has been deemed as a player who's got some really good athletic attributes, and that's going to be vital for us as well. But I think it's really important that we try and get that right winger as well, and as well as that attacking midfielder. But also as well, like, there's no harm in not using the loan market either as well. There's some great value there as well, but that just seems to be neglected, especially since the SMOs have come in. And yeah, that's a question for another video, Jack, I believe, as well. So yeah, if I had to say and streamline it, I would probably say quite a fast, athletic right winger and attacking midfielder.
If Makama has proved anything this season, is that one signing can completely change the fortunes of a season. We could get that one player in January that could be that difference maker. Maybe they're here already. We don't know. But just to wrap up before we finish, we'll do a quick fire hot take as we always do, and we'll try and make it quick. Only because Henry's just let us know that his phone's running out of battery. Such is the nature of podcasting, hey? So we're going to do it old-timey style, really quick fire. And if Henry leaves us, don't worry, listeners or viewers. It's not because he doesn't like you. It's just because he needs a charger. So let me find my quick fire hot takes that I wrote earlier. 5 for you as per usual. What is the best team goal that Norwich City has ever scored, in your opinion? William, you are on mute.
Oh dear. I've actually got 2 for this actually straight off the bat, and I just think of 18-19. It's either that Sheffield Wednesday goal. I don't know the final goal scorer of that move, but I think it's a lovely team goal. I think it was away in 18-19. I don't know who scored it eventually. I think it was Pookie, but I'll go for the Ono Hernandez goal against Sheffield United, I think, at home in 18-19 as well, where a lovely team move, and I think Ono linked up nicely with Stephenman. God, they were the days, weren't they? So I'll go for Ono Hernandez 18-19, I think.
I'm going to go for Nathan Redmond versus Middlesbrough under the arch.
Oh, yes. Wow, yeah. That just trumps it for me.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah, I didn't even think of that one. Well done. I was actually thinking of O'Neill's against Sheffield United. And again, you think back to 18-19, most of those goals were good. The opening
that
goal
Bolton one.
The one at Bolton.
That Pookie one against Bolton, we won 4-0 18-19 as well. That near post finish, I think there was a great bit of playing that one as well, wasn't there?
That opening goal against them lot. Yeah, there we go. Right.
Yes.
Quick fire number 2. What is the worst quality pitch that you've ever seen?
Oh, goodness me.
Probably that QPR one. Like in terms of like a Norwich game, I can't think of many that have been worse, to be honest.
How can you let a championship pitch in 2025 get to that condition? Those groundsmen need to have some sort of appraisal meeting. Go on, Will.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was in lockdown, and it was. I think it was. Well, I've actually got 2 now. I think of it. It was Millwall away in lockdown. I just remember their pitch just looking like an absolute potato field. But do you remember when the season where Birmingham Coventry both played at St Andrews? I think we played Coventry away there as well. It's an absolute. It just looked dire. I was going to swear then.
I'm trying to think. But if you watch any of the highlights of the kind of Premier League matches from like the 2011-12 season, the sort of Grant Holt, Steve Morrison, I don't know who the groundsmen were then, but it gets very muddy when you like watch some of the later games, like especially that Liverpool game when Suarez did that thing. It's very, very muddy, unfortunately, at Carrow Road. But apart from that, probably some of the pitches in the 60s and 70s, but I wasn't there to watch them. Question 3. If Stuart Webber were to have overseen the summer transfer business, where would we be in the league?
8th.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh goodness me, that's. I may as well just throw a dice and see what number I land on because I can't call that. Knowing how inconsistent he was, let's go bang on 12. Could be good, could be bad. We'll go mid-table.
Okay, I thought
Play
you were going
safe.
to do a Gattuso there. I don't think we'd be in relegation trouble, but I don't think we'd be fantastic. I'd say 17th would be my guess. Quickfire number 4. Imagine Norwich can only sign former players in January within the realms of actual budget and reality. Who would be the best re-signing? So, like for example, like don't say, "Oh, re-sign Gabby Sarah." Like that's not who's like a logical former player that we could sign within our budget that would improve this team. Does that make sense?
Nathan Redmond.
I was going to say Redders, actually. Yeah, that's really good. Alternatively, as well, I would have actually said Robert Snodgrass as well. That moment of quality from the right hand side coming in off.
He's retired. You can't.
Oh, I thought you actually meant like if you could like turn back a player from an era.
No. If you could sign someone right now that would actually benefit this Norwich team.
Oh, okay. Goodness me.
That is playing currently and is in the realms of reality. So you can't have Gabby Sarah back or her signs.
Redmond, to be fair, Redmond is an absolute great shout. I'm going to say Redmond. I can't think of anyone else in particular.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think all of our kind of former players at the moment are either really good or retired or kind of in the middle. I guess Max Aarons might be, but is he better than Fisher?
Or maybe Josh Murphy potentially, like actual speed outlet on the left hand side.
Yeah, Josh Murphy would be a lot. I thought you meant Jacob. Jacob would have been well out. The other one probably Yanulis because he's doing okay in the Bundesliga. We could probably afford him again, but also he's old. It's a horrible, tricky question.
I will always be a Sam McCallum over a Giannoulis man myself. I love a debate because
I must say I'm running out of time. So yeah, thank you to everyone, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't.
Love it, Henry, mate. See you in a bit.
Love you, big dog, or big cat, shall I say? And this podcast is sponsored by the.
An hour in, we got there.
Yeah, I managed it. I don't know how I managed it, but just about got there. Right, William, the final quickfire hot take for you.
Go on.
And this might actually be a nice, tasty one for you. What is your dream third round FA Cup tie?
Yeah, you know what? If Walsall away was actually flipped over, that'd been absolutely great to win it. I've jokingly said to my friends that I would love to do Gillingham away, and for the open roof stand, I think in that away, and it'd be an absolute experience. But I also believe I think Accrington Stanley also have an open roof away end as well. So either Accrington Stanley or Gillingham. But to be honest, Jack, now looking now at our perilous league position, that could be more likely next year if we're in the league trophy. Oh goodness me! Could you imagine going to Burnley under 21s at home in the league trophy next season? Goodness me, with that lovely new fan zone, £7.50 a pint to watch Burnley's under 23s.
Stop it. I have a colleague who lives in Bromley and keeps on reminding me that Bromley versus Norwich could realistically be a league fixture next season.
Aren't they top right now, aren't they? I'm
correct.
Sure.
Yes, they're top of,
wow.
Yeah, they're top of League Two. So enjoy that, everyone. I was actually thinking Accrington already before you said it.
Oh, you were? Love it, yeah.
Great minds think alike. So yes, everyone, that is the end of the quickfire hot takes. What would be your dream FA Cup tie? What did you think of Christmas? Was it really all over the place? Was it a step in the right direction, or is it just the same type of stuff as we get towards the fateful R word? But yes, 2026, we're in a new year. and hopefully Philippe Clement has some New Year's resolutions for this Norwich team. Just a tenuous pun, but thank you so much for watching episode 58 of the MyFootballWriter podcast. If you've watched all the way to the end, please do like and subscribe and comment. We read and love every single comment. We appreciate every single view. We'll be back soon with another podcast. We'll see you in very soon. Don't go changing.